You'll understand when you're older, my mom said, after booking a five-star resort trip for my sister. I didn't argue. I just left a key on the table and disappeared before they returned. At 29, I was still performing the role of my mother's daughter. But that Tuesday afternoon in March, a phone call irrevocably severed that tie. Mom's voice, bright with the particular excitement she reserved for Vanessa, pierced through my lunch break. My younger sister had just landed a promotion at her marketing firm, a feat apparently warranting a celebration of epic proportions. "We're taking her to the Atlantis resort in the Bahamas, darling," Mom announced, her words practically sparkling down the line. 7 days, all-inclusive. Your father's been saving, and Vanessa deserves something truly special after working so hard. I stirred my instant ramen slowly, watching the pale noodles swirl, a mundane counterpoint to her fantastical pronouncement. That sounds incredible. When are you going? End of April. I know it's short notice, but we got a fantastic deal. A pause, then her tone shifted, forced casualness thinly veiling an awkward truth. It's just going to be the three of us, though. The room only fits three comfortably. And you know how your father gets about upgrading. A familiar chill seeped into my chest, a bitter cold I knew too well. Right? You understand, don't you, sweetie? You'll understand when you're older. Older. I was already older, 3 years Vanessa's senior, yet I swallowed the bitter retort, a lifetime of training silencing my voice. Yes, Mom, I managed, the word a brittle lie before I disconnected. That night, in the quiet solitude of my studio apartment, I did something I'd never dared. I unearthed every birthday card, every Christmas present, every tangible memory of my family, laying them out chronologically on my worn carpet. The pattern that emerged was a cruel testament to decades of invisibility, a truth so stark it clawed at my chest. Vanessa's 8th birthday, a magical trip to Disney World. My 8th, a store-bought cake, a card with $20 inside. Vanessa's high school graduation, a brand new car, a MacBook, a lavish party for $200. My high school graduation, dinner at Olive Garden, a Target gift card. Vanessa's college tuition, fully paid, all 4 years at a private university. My college tuition, we can help with community college, honey, but you'll need to work for the rest. And I had worked. 2 jobs through community college, then loans to finish my degree at a state school. I'd worked through every holiday, every summer, every weekend. Still working, still paying off those loans, still confined to my 400-square-foot studio, while Vanessa resided in a luxury condo downtown, a gift from our parents. The excuse had been a constant refrain, Vanessa was younger. Vanessa needed more support. Vanessa was going through a difficult time, and each time that flash of resentment ignited within me, Mom would pat my hand, assuring me I'd understand. When I was older, more mature, when I could see the bigger picture. I was staring down 30, just months away. How much bigger could the picture possibly get? The next morning, I called my supervisor. 3 weeks leave. I had the vacation days. I never took time off. She approved it instantly, surprised, but pleased I was finally utilizing my benefits. Karen from HR even paused at my desk that afternoon. Jennifer, I just saw your leave request. Is everything all right? You haven't taken a day off in 2 years. Everything's fine, I replied, my gaze fixed on my spreadsheet. Just need some time. She lingered, curiosity etched on her face, but I kept my eyes steadfastly on my screen until she moved on. Years of practice had honed my skill at making myself invisible. That evening, notebook in hand, I began to list. What to keep, what to sell, what to donate. Where I wanted to go. What kind of job, what kind of life I longed to build. The list grew, my handwriting a frantic scrawl as exhaustion set in, yet I couldn't stop. This was the first time in my adult life I was making decisions purely for myself. Around midnight, I called Rachel. She answered, voice thick with sleep. Jen, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong, I said, surprised by the sudden steadiness in my voice. I just need to know something. When you look at me, what do you see? A long pause, the rustle of sheets as she likely sat up. What kind of question is that? An important one. Another pause, longer still. I see someone who's tired. Someone who's been holding themselves together for so long they forgot what it feels like to fall apart. Someone who deserves better than what they've gotten. Something profound cracked open in my chest. Thank you, Rachel. So, what's going on? I'm leaving, I heard myself say, the words feeling foreign, yet utterly true. Not just this apartment. Everything. I'm starting over. The vacation, that was just the final, unbearable straw, the culmination of everything. I looked around my cramped studio, at the secondhand furniture and bare walls. I've been living like I'm in a waiting room, Rachel. Waiting for them to notice me, to appreciate me, to love me the way they love Vanessa. I'm done waiting. Rachel was silent so long I thought the call had dropped. Finally, she breathed. I think that's the bravest thing I've ever heard. My landlord was next. My lease was month to month. It had been for a year. I gave my 30 days notice. He was genuinely sorry to see me go, calling me a model tenant. The plan, once conceived, formed with surprising clarity. 6 years as an accountant, and I was good at it. Good enough that I'd quietly built a safety net, even while chipping away at my loans. 15,000 in savings, another 10 in investments. Not a fortune, but it was freedom. My coworker, David, the next day, noticed the shift. He'd trained me, seen countless people come and go. We weren't close, but he possessed an uncanny knack for seeing what others missed. You're leaving, he stated, not asked. I looked up from my calculator. What makes you say that? You've got that look. Same one I had before I quit my first job. Like you've already gone, but your body hasn't caught up yet. He leaned against my cubicle wall. Where are you headed? Why does everyone assume I'm going somewhere? Because staying somewhere requires a different kind of energy. You don't have it anymore. He was right, of course. I spoke of Portland, the Pacific Northwest, the desperate need for a fresh start. I said nothing of my family. Some wounds were too raw to share with a near stranger. Portland's good, he mused. My sister lives there. Rain's depressing for 3 months, then you get used to it. Actually starts to feel comforting. He pulled out his phone. Here, I'll send you her number. She works in HR at a tech company. Knows the job market. Tell her I sent you. I stared, bewildered by this unexpected kindness. You don't have to do that. I know. But sometimes life hands you a rope when you're climbing out of a hole. Might as well grab it. He sent the contact, then straightened. Good luck, Jennifer. I mean it. After he left, I looked at the name on my phone, Sarah Whitmore. A stranger. A potential connection. A friend? A sign, perhaps, though I'd never been superstitious. The next week was a blur of ruthless efficiency. Furniture on Facebook Marketplace, gone in days. Clothes unworn in a year, too. Goodwill. Books, kitchenware, decorations, everything that tethered me to this place, this life, this version of myself still waiting to be seen. Rachel helped me pack the essentials. She was the only one I confided in, and even then, not everything. Are you sure about this? She asked, taping a box of dishes. It seems so sudden. I've been sure about this for a long time, I said, a new conviction in my voice. I just didn't know it until now. She looked at me, concern clouding her face. Where are you even going? West. I've always wanted to see Oregon. Not a lie, but not the whole truth. I had no destination. Only a direction, away. I finished the dishes and realized I didn't need them. Donated that afternoon. As we loaded the last boxes into my car, Rachel grabbed my arm. Your mom called me yesterday. My stomach dropped. What did she say? She wanted to know if you were upset about the trip. Said you'd seemed quiet on the phone. Rachel made air quotes. I told her I hadn't noticed anything different. Was that okay? That was perfect. I slammed the trunk closed, perhaps harder than necessary. Did she say anything else? Just that she hoped you weren't being sensitive about the whole thing. But you tend to take things personally. Rachel's expression darkened. I almost told her off right there, Jen. I wanted to ask her when she'd last paid attention to you for more than 5 minutes, but I didn't. Because I figured you had a plan, and me going off on her would mess it up. She pulled me into a fierce hug. I'm going to miss you so much. I'll call, I promised. Not from my regular number. I'll get a new phone and I'll call. You're the only one who gets the number. Not even your parents. Especially not them. Rachel pulled back, studying my face. Do you think you'll ever forgive them? The question caught me off guard. I'd been so consumed with leaving, escaping, surviving, that forgiveness hadn't crossed my mind. I don't know. Maybe that's something I'll figure out once I'm far enough away to breathe. Fair enough. She wiped her eyes. For what it's worth, I think they're going to regret this. When they finally realize you're gone, really gone, they're going to understand what they lost. Maybe, I said. Or maybe they'll just get mad that I didn't play my part anymore. We stood there in the apartment parking lot, the spring sun warming our faces, and I felt the weight of all those years spent trying to be enough for people who would never truly see me. Rachel, though. She had seen me. Always. Thank you, I said, my voice thick. For being my friend, even when it probably would have been easier not to be. Easier? She laughed, a sound wet with tears. Jen, you're the easiest friend I've ever had. You show up. You listen. You remember birthdays. You actually care about people's lives. Your family's the one who made friendship with you feel hard, not you. Something in those words settled deep in my bones. A truth I desperately needed to hear. The timing was impeccable. My parents and Vanessa were leaving for the Bahamas on April 28th. I scheduled my departure for April 26th. I wanted the apartment empty, my old life packed away, before they even boarded their plane. Mom called twice during those weeks. Once, to ask what souvenirs I might like. The second time, if I could water her plants. I said yes to both. I was very good at saying yes. 3 days before they left, I drove to their house while they were out. I still had a key, the same key from high school, the one I'd used to let myself in after school, to do homework at the kitchen table before my grocery store shift. I watered the plants, checked the windows, ensured everything was secure. Then I went to the den, to Dad's filing cabinet, and found the folder labeled Family. Inside, copies of birth certificates, social security cards, vaccination records. I took my documents. Just mine. They were mine anyway. In the kitchen, on the back of a grocery receipt, I scrawled a note. Plants are watered. Have a great trip. I signed it with my name. My house key lay beside it. April 26th arrived with clear skies and a feeling of lightness I hadn't experienced in years. My car was packed. My apartment, an empty shell. My mail forwarded to a P.O. box in Portland. My new phone loaded with podcasts and playlists. A cooler full of snacks and water. I drove away at 6 a.m., before traffic thickened, and I didn't look back. The first day, I made it to St. Louis. A cheap motel, gas station sandwiches, and a sense of being more alive than I had been in a decade. The second day, I pushed through to Denver. The mountains took my breath away. I'd never seen real mountains. I pulled over at a rest stop somewhere in the Rockies, got out, and just stood there, staring at the peaks. An elderly couple walked past, the woman smiling. First time seeing them? She asked. Is it that obvious? You've got the look, her husband said, eyes twinkling. Same look everyone gets their first time. Like you can't believe they're real. They don't seem real, I admit it. I've lived my whole life in the Midwest. Everything's flat. This is humbling. The woman finished her husband's thought. That's what my Henry said when we first drove out here 40 years ago. Mountains make you feel small, but in a good way. Remind you there's a whole world out there, bigger than your problems. They walked away, hand in hand. I stood there, reflecting on how I'd spent 29 years in a world so small it had almost suffocated me. These mountains, this vast sky, this endless road ahead. This was what freedom looked like. I called Rachel from the parking lot, my new phone feeling strange in my hand. I'm in Colorado, I said when she answered. Rachel, there are mountains. She laughed. I know there are mountains in Colorado, Jen. No, you don't understand. They're enormous. They're like something out of a painting. I've been driving for hours and I'm still not past them. You sound happy. I leaned against my car, feeling the sun on my face. I think I am. Is that weird? I just blew up my entire life and I'm happy about it. That's not weird at all. That's exactly how you should feel. I could hear her smile. Where are you staying tonight? I don't know yet. I'm just driving until I get tired. That's so unlike you. Old Jennifer would have had every hotel booked in advance. Old Jennifer did a lot of things that didn't make her happy. Day 3 took me through Salt Lake City into Idaho. By the time I reached Boise on day 4, my parents would have been in the Bahamas for nearly a week. I stopped at a library, checked my email from a public computer. 12 messages from Mom, starting friendly and concerned, escalating to confused, panicked, then furious. 5 from Dad, all variations of "call your mother immediately." 2 from Vanessa, "what's your problem?" and "you're being incredibly selfish." I scrolled through them, watching the timeline of their dawning realization. The first few assumed I was busy at work, then confused why I wasn't responding. Then Mom had called my office and Karen from HR had told her I was on leave. The emails grew frantic. The most recent, from Mom, sent the previous night, "Your landlord told us you moved out. He wouldn't say where you went. Jennifer, this isn't funny anymore. We're cutting our vacation short and coming home tomorrow. You need to call us the moment you see this." I deleted them all. Closed the browser. My hands were shaking as I walked back to my car. They were going to cut their vacation short. Coming home early because I wasn't responding. Part of me felt guilty, the part trained for 29 years to feel responsible for their feelings. But a larger part felt something else entirely. Vindication. I'd been invisible for so long, and now my absence was so loud they couldn't even enjoy paradise. I sat in my car in the library parking lot and let myself feel it all. The guilt, the satisfaction, the anger, the profound freedom. A woman tapped on my window, her face etched with concern. "Are you all right, honey?" I rolled down the window, realizing tears streamed down my face. "I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than fine. I'm free." She looked confused, but smiled anyway. "Well, good for you." After she left, I texted David's sister, Sarah. He'd given me her number before I left, and I'd been too nervous to use it. "Hi, Sarah. I'm David's coworker, Jennifer. I'm moving to Portland, and he said you might have some job search advice. No pressure if you're too busy." She responded within an hour. "David told me to expect your text. When do you get to Portland? Let's grab coffee, and I'll introduce you to some people in the accounting field here." Just like that, I had a connection in my new city. Someone who didn't know my family, my history, or have any preconceptions about who I was supposed to be. At a coffee shop in Boise, I applied to 12 accounting jobs in Portland before getting back on the road. Day 5 took me through the rest of Idaho and into Oregon. The moment I crossed the state line, I pulled over. No dramatic sign, no obvious change in landscape, but something shifted within me. This was it. This was where I'd rebuild. I took a photo of the "Welcome to Oregon" sign and sent it to Rachel with the caption, "Made it." She responded immediately, "Proud of you. Your mom called me again today. She's frantic." I typed and deleted 3 different responses before settling on, "That's not my problem anymore." It felt harsh, typing it, but it also felt true. Their panic, their confusion, their anger, none of it was mine to fix. I'd spent my whole life trying to manage their emotions, trying to make myself small enough not to be a burden, trying to be understanding and mature and patient. Where had it gotten me? Here, I realized, looking at the Oregon landscape. It had gotten me here, to this moment where I finally understood that the only person's emotions I was responsible for were my own. Portland was gray and rainy and beautiful. I stayed in an extended stay hotel for 2 weeks, apartment hunting. By the end of my first week, I'd heard back from 5 companies and had 3 interviews scheduled. They went well. I accepted an offer from a mid-sized firm, paying 15% more than my old job. The apartment I found was a 1-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood with a window overlooking a cherry tree. During my second interview, Patricia, the hiring manager, asked why I'd moved to Portland without a job lined up. "I needed a change," I said, true but incomplete. Patricia leaned back in her chair, studying me. "I appreciate honesty, Jennifer. And I appreciate courage. Most people wait until everything's perfect before they make a move. But perfect never comes, does it?" "No," I agreed. "It doesn't. I left my family's business to start my career here," she said. 20 years ago. My father didn't speak to me for 5 years, but I built something that was mine, and eventually, he came around. Sometimes you have to choose yourself first. I got the job offer that afternoon. Sarah met me for coffee on my third day in Portland, at a small downtown cafe smelling of cinnamon and rain. She was in her 40s, warm and energetic, wearing a blazer covered in cat hair, which she brushed absently. Sorry, she laughed. 3 cats at home. Occupational hazard. We talked for 2 hours. She introduced me to her friend Morgan, who worked at a different accounting firm, and Morgan introduced me to the local professional organization. By the end of the week, I had a network. Small but real. David said you were running from something, Sarah mentioned as we were leaving. Didn't say what. Don't have to tell me if you don't want to. Family stuff, I said. The kind where you realize you're never going to be what they want, so you might as well be what you need. She nodded slowly. Been there. Took me until I was 35 to figure that out. You're smart to do it now. I bought a new phone with a new number. Gave it to my employer, my landlord, and Rachel. Nobody else. The emails continued for a while. Mom's messages went through phases: anger, hurt, bargaining, more anger. Dad's were shorter, more demanding. Vanessa sent one long email about how selfish I was being, how I was hurting Mom, how this was typical of me to make everything about myself. That last one almost made me laugh. Almost. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I went to work. I explored my new city. I joined a book club at the local library. I took a ceramics class on Thursday evenings. I started running in the mornings through the park near my apartment. I made friends with my neighbor, an older woman named Dorothy, who taught me how to grow herbs on my balcony. On Thanksgiving, Rachel called me. Your mom contacted me. She said she's desperate to know if you're okay. I'm okay, I said. I was roasting a small chicken and sweet potatoes, cooking for myself in my own kitchen, with my own dishes that I'd chosen. She said she doesn't understand what happened. I watched the rain streak down my window. I know. Do you want me to tell her anything? Tell her I'm alive and healthy. That's all. Rachel was quiet for a moment. Are you happy? I thought about my morning run, about the coffee shop where the barista now knew my order, about the promotion my new boss had hinted at, about the complete absence of that hollow feeling that used to wake me at 3 a.m. Yeah, I said. I really am. Then I'm glad you left. Christmas came and went. I bought myself a small tree and decorated it with ornaments from a local artist shop. I video called Rachel on Christmas morning, and she showed me her kids opening presents. She didn't mention my family, and I was grateful. In January, almost 9 months after I'd left, I received a letter at my P.O. box, forwarded from my old address, written on my mother's stationery in her neat handwriting. I almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity won. I opened it. Dear Jennifer, it began. Not sweetie, not honey. Jennifer, your father and I have been doing a lot of thinking. We realize now that we may not have treated you fairly over the years. We'd like to talk to you about this. Please call us or tell us where you are. We miss you. Love, Mom. May not have treated you fairly. The understatement was almost impressive. I read the letter 3 times, searching for something more, something real. An acknowledgement of specifics. An actual apology. Any indication that they understood what they'd done. It wasn't there. I put the letter in a drawer and went to my ceramics class. February brought my 1-year anniversary in Portland. My boss promoted me to senior accountant. Dorothy invited me to her grandson's wedding. The cherry tree outside my window started to bud. Rachel told me Mom had stopped asking about me. I think she's given up, Rachel said, and I couldn't tell if she thought that was good or bad. I didn't know either. Spring in Portland was everything I'd hoped for. The city bloomed. I took myself on weekend trips to the coast, to the mountains, to small towns with strange names and good coffee. I dated a software engineer named Marcus for a few months. It didn't work out, but it was nice. I adopted a cat from the shelter, a cranky tabby named Pumpkin, who liked to sleep on my keyboard while I worked from home. I built a life. In May, Vanessa sent me an email. Just one out of nowhere. I'm getting married in September. I know things have been weird, but you're still my sister. I'd like you to be there. I'd like you to be a bridesmaid, actually. Please think about it. I stared at the email for a long time. No apology, No acknowledgement of anything that had happened, just an invitation, as if the past year had been a minor disagreement, a phase I'd gone through. I thought about what it would be like to go back. To put on a dress Vanessa chose. To stand next to her while she married someone I'd never met. To smile for family photos. To hug relatives who would ask where I'd been, that edge of judgment in their voices. I thought about Mom introducing me, spinning some story about my journey or adventure, making it sound like a sabbatical rather than an escape. I thought about Dad avoiding eye contact, uncomfortable with emotion, waiting for everything to go back to normal. I thought about Vanessa in her wedding dress, beautiful and happy, surrounded by people who loved her, while I stood to the side, a prop in her perfect day. Then I thought about my apartment, my cat, my cherry tree, my Thursday ceramics class, my morning runs, my life built from nothing, my hard-won freedom. The choice wasn't even difficult. I deleted the email. June arrived, and with it, Dorothy's grandson's wedding. She'd asked me to be her +1 months ago. It was a small ceremony in a garden, intimate and sweet. The couple had written their own vows. They promised to choose each other every day, to be partners, to build something together. During the reception, Dorothy squeezed my hand. "You're crying, dear." I was. I hadn't realized. "It's beautiful," I said. And it was. Beautiful in a way I'd never truly seen before. This love, given freely, not needing to be earned or justified or competed for. "You'll have this someday," Dorothy said. "Maybe," I replied. "But I already have something good." She smiled. "Yes, you do." July brought a heat wave. I bought a fan for my bedroom, learned to make cold brew coffee. My ceramics teacher asked if I wanted to display some of my pieces in a local gallery show. I said yes, terrified and thrilled. In August, 3 weeks before Vanessa's wedding, Mom sent another letter. "Jennifer, we need to talk about Vanessa's wedding. She's very hurt that you haven't responded. This is a big day for our family, and your absence will be noted. People will ask questions. I hope you reconsider. We can pay for your flight and hotel. Please don't let pride keep you from being there for your sister. You'll regret this when you're older." I laughed out loud when I read that last line. Pumpkin looked up annoyed. "You'll understand when you're older," I told him. "That's what she always says." Pumpkin yawned and went back to sleep. I thought about responding. About writing everything I'd wanted to say for years, itemizing every injustice, every moment of favoritism, every time they'd chosen Vanessa without a second thought. But what would be the point? They'd read it as me being dramatic, sensitive, unable to let things go. They'd show it to relatives and friends as proof that I was the problem, bitter and jealous and unreasonable. They'd never understand. And I realized, finally, I didn't need them to. I put the letter with the others in my drawer. Evidence of something, though I wasn't sure what. Evidence that I'd existed to them, maybe. Evidence that they'd noticed my absence. The gallery show was in early September, the same weekend as Vanessa's wedding. My ceramics were displayed on a white shelf, with a small card bearing my name and prices. 3 pieces sold on opening night. Dorothy bought one and wouldn't let me refund her money. "You're an artist now," she said, hugging me. "I'm supporting the arts." Marcus came, even though we'd broken up. We stood together, looking at my work, these bowls and vases and cups I'd made with my own hands. "You seem different," he said. "Lighter." "I am," I replied. That night, knowing Vanessa was getting married, knowing Mom was probably crying happy tears and Dad was probably making an awkward speech, everyone dancing and laughing and celebrating, I went home to my apartment, poured myself a glass of wine, and sat on my balcony with Pumpkin. The cherry tree had lost most of its blossoms, but it was still beautiful, still growing. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel angry. I just felt free. A year and a half after I left, I was promoted again. I was making more money than I'd ever imagined, more than enough to pay off my remaining student loans and start saving seriously. I moved to a bigger apartment with 2 bedrooms, one of which I turned into a home office and art studio. Rachel visited in October. We drove out to the coast, staying in a bed and breakfast overlooking the ocean. On our last night, by a bonfire on the beach, she asked the question I'd been waiting for. "Do you think you'll ever talk to them again?" I watched the waves crash in the darkness. I don't know. Maybe someday. If they ever really understand what they did, if they ever really apologize. And if they don't, I gestured at the ocean, the stars, the fire. Then I have this. I have a good life. I have friends. I have work I'm proud of. I have myself. Rachel nodded. You do. And for what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Do you? Yeah. I've seen you before and after. Before, you were always trying so hard to be enough. Now, you just are. Tears pricked my eyes. Thank you. For what? For not judging me. For being my friend, even when it was probably uncomfortable. She bumped my shoulder. That's what friends do. 2 years after I left, preparing for another holiday season alone, I received an unexpected package at my P.O. box. The address was unfamiliar, but the handwriting on the label was familiar. Inside was an old, worn photo album filled with pictures from my childhood I'd never seen, me as a baby, a toddler, a young child. Many I was alone. In some, my parents were there, younger, happier. There were no pictures of Vanessa. These were all from before she was born, from those first 3 years when I'd been their only child. At the bottom of the box was a letter, this one from Dad. Jennifer, it began. I found this in the attic. Your mother doesn't know I'm sending it. I thought you might want it. I also wanted to say that I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. I know we failed you. I don't expect you to forgive us or come back. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what we did. I'm sorry we made you feel like you had to leave to matter. You always mattered. I just didn't show it. I hope you're happy wherever you are. Love, Dad. I cried for an hour after reading that letter. Not sad tears, not angry tears, just tears releasing something I'd been holding for so long. I didn't respond to Dad's letter, but I kept it. I kept it separate from the others, in a box with the photo album. Things that mattered. Spring came around again. 3 years in Portland. I was 32 years old, established in my career, surrounded by friends, living in a city I loved. The cherry tree. Outside my window bloomed again, more beautiful than ever. Dorothy died that spring, a heart attack, sudden and peaceful. At her funeral, her grandson thanked me for being such a good friend to her. She talked about you all the time, he said. She was so proud of you. I cried again, mourning this woman who had been more of a mother to me in 2 years than my own mother had been in 28. Life continued. That's what it does. I dated other people. Some relationships lasted months, some just weeks. I was learning what I wanted, what I deserved. I was learning that I didn't need to earn love. The right people would give it freely. I exhibited more art, sold more pieces, developed a small reputation in the local ceramics community. My work got better. My life got fuller. And sometimes, late at night, I thought about my family. I thought about Vanessa, wondering if she was happy in her marriage, if she'd had kids, if she'd ever understood why I left. I thought about Mom, wondering if she still told people she didn't understand what happened, if she still made excuses. I thought about Dad, wondering if he told Mom about the package he sent me. Mostly, though, I thought about myself. About the girl I'd been, working 2 jobs, taking out loans, saying yes to everything, always hoping that someday she'd be enough. About the woman I'd become, who knew she was already enough, who'd built a life that proved it. Mom had been right about one thing. I did understand better now that I was older. I understood that leaving wasn't cruel. It was survival. I understood that family wasn't always the people you were born to. Sometimes it was the people you chose, like Rachel and Dorothy and the friends I'd made here. I understood that you can't make someone value you. You can only value yourself enough to walk away. And I understood that happiness isn't something you wait for permission to have. It's something you take, something you build, something you fight for when everyone around you says you should settle for less. 3 years after I left a key on a table and drove west, I finally understood. And I'd never felt older or wiser or more free in my entire life.